Chapter 18 of Angel Food Little Talks to Little Folks by Rev Gerald T. Brennan. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Maria Therese. Skippy. You all know, I am sure, that great little fellow in the funny paper. I mean the little boy called Skippy. I'll bet you all like Skippy. I know I do. I wish we had a whole school of boys and girls like Skippy. Let me tell you what I saw Skippy do in the funny paper one night. In the first picture, Skippy is kneeling down beside his bed. He is dressed in pajamas, and he is saying his prayers. Here is what Skippy says to God. Please, God, make Skippy a good boy. In the second picture, Skippy is still praying and looking up toward heaven. He says, Well, God, don't make me too good. In the third picture, Skippy is scratching his head, and again he prays, Gee, God, who am I to tell you what to do? Then came the last picture. Skippy is still on his knees, still praying, and looking up at heaven. He speaks out good and loud. Oh, it's all right, God. Give me the works. You know, I like Skippy a whole lot better since I saw him pray like that. Skippy is a real boy. Skippy knows how to pray. Skippy didn't have a prayer book or say a lot of big words. He just told God what was in his heart, and that's just what we should do when we pray. You don't need a book. You don't need to say long prayers. When you pray, all that you do is talk to God. God doesn't care about big words. He doesn't care whether you have a book. All that God does is to look into your heart, and He keeps His ears open. When you pray, remember, God is kneeling right down on the floor next to you. Just talk to Him the same way you would if you could see Him. He can see you, even if you can't see Him. It's not hard to talk to God. Tell Him about your father. Ask God to get your father a job. Tell God to keep your mother well. Tell God about your sisters and brothers. Ask God to help you with your arithmetic. Maybe you don't like fractions. Tell God that fractions are hard for you. Ask God to make fractions easy for you. Tell Him to help you pass your exams. And say, if you have any time left, ask God to bless me too. I like boys and girls to pray for me. Once in a while, ask God to give me the works. Will you do that? Fine. Oh, there are 100 things you can say to God. When you talk to God, you are praying to God. That's easy, isn't it? And don't forget to thank God when you pray to Him. Some people are always asking God for something, but they never say thanks. Thank God for your father and your mother. Thank Him for your nice home. You know that everything you have comes from God. Maybe you would be in a hospital this morning if it were not for God. Well, thank Him when you talk to Him. That's what you do when you pray. You talk to God. You ask Him for the things you want. You thank Him for being so good to you. You know, boys and girls, after I saw Skippy say his prayers, I think God must read the funnies, just like the rest of us. God must love Skippy, because Skippy knows how to pray. Pray like Skippy, and God will love you. End of chapter 18.